to the car, please. I haven't mentioned it in a while, but again, I need to reiterate that my least favorite part of going mountain biking is actually the preparation to go mountain biking. Especially as the procrastinator that I am. 1.5 hours just to think I might have everything I need, which I probably don't. Of course I need gas.
But those negatives are so far outweighed by the fun positives that is actually mountain biking. Woo, woo. Man, this thing is working good. Norton's absolute favorite part of mountain biking is not the mountain biking at all. It's the swimming.
Remember back to about like a month ago. A month ago was the Canada Cup, and I brought both bikes, my Felt and the Schwinn, to the Canada Cup racing and kind of rode both around and talked about how much more I like the Felt because of its lightness and the amount of snap it has coming out of corners. You know, it could pick up speed really quick, it wound up really nice. And overall, I just found it was a better performing bike over rough terrain. Which might make you wonder why I'm on the Schwinn today when I liked the Felt so much better. And it's not sponsorship requirement. Schwinn's not saying, you know, you have to go ride this bike more often. It's that during the Canada Cup race, I came up short on a step-up double and dented my Velocity blunt bad enough that the center channel even got dented and it won't hold air now. So that's a bummer. That's one of those expensive things that I really didn't want to have happen, but such is life. I can't afford to fix it right now, so I've been riding the Schwinn. Okay, so what? Why does that matter? I hear you asking. Well, it's because the Felt spoiled me enough that I knew what I liked at that point. I got lucky. Nick, you and I must be similar weights with similar riding styles because the way the fork that you sold me showed up was perfect. It performed exactly the way I didn't know that I wanted a mountain bike to ride. So it was just straight up luck, but it did finally give me a basis for how a bike is supposed to perform. Turns out your hands aren't really supposed to feel buzzy and terrible at the end of a ride, and you shouldn't feel every little bump. You should be able to ride over everything fairly quick and feel relatively isolated, which I have never experienced before. I don't know how I ever performed well at mountain bike races. Turns out I like a really plush feeling bike, which opened my mind to actually trying to make the Schwinn feel more like the Felt. And I achieved it by doing three things. Three things total. One of which is wearing gloves with rubber grips. I know that's an easy one, but I don't love gloves. I much prefer silicone grips, but I'll wait for these to wear out before I throw a set of silicones on and then I can stop wearing them. But it did help with my hands not slipping off on really bumpy sections of trail. Two, I was feeling a lot of fatigue in my hand in this area by having the lever out to like here and just constantly being on it, to which I just adjusted the lever in far enough that I could have my hands in that kind of default single finger on the brake lever position while still maintaining grip everywhere and not having to strain everything so much. You don't realize how much that actually takes out of you, how fatiguing it is, until you set it up in a way that doesn't cause it, and then you just end up riding faster. It's very bizarre, but one of those things that you really need to take into consideration. If your brakes can be adjusted that way, do it. I remember my friend Graham many years ago when I like first got my first ever mountain bike, he sort of told me this, that you know it was a good idea to do that, and I ignored him. Like his veteran knowledge of going on crazy long rides, and I was like, no, I know better than you. I'm not even gonna listen. And three was actually putting the effort into making sure that the fork performs the way it's supposed to. Making sure that I appreciated the rebound and the compression speeds, and making sure that the sag was set correctly. I've always been very guilty of running extremely high compression so that there's not any sag really at all. as well as setting the rebound as fast as possible. So, you know, in turn making just like a really crappy rigid fork, where really I'm running probably slightly more sag than what would be like naturally recommended. Like I'm probably past that 30% mark, and the rebound is just like not as fast as it could be, and compression, well, I mean, it's, you know, it's where it's supposed to be. I don't know, maybe there's some things that I'm not fully understanding because you've only really started putting effort into this relatively recently. But at the end of the day, there's no room for me to deny that I've been putting this off for far too long, and that a bike with like more mid-range level components can feel like a bike that has the toppest of end. It's just not quite as light. But as I mentioned before, the gearing of this bike basically makes up for the weight difference. I really, really do like this thing. The last time I was in here, there was a stark difference between my confidence and the way I'm riding today versus last time. Before I was walking features, oh, it's just terrible. But today I'm riding everything confident and I'm riding it fast, and I'm not really stopping for anything other than keeping Norton in the water, who just left again. Okay, enough talking. Let's keep riding.
Now I know that for some of you who have owned nicer mountain bikes for a really long time, you're just kind of think this is all fairly obvious and wonder why I'd bring it up at all. But you have to keep in mind, all my mountain bikes that I've ever owned have been kind of set it and forget it. Like spring forks, no air, no tuning to talk about. I've only really gotten into this really this year. So I've only ever known set it and forget it bikes. And I just sort of assumed some were good and some were bad. Not that you could take something and kind of tune it to your preferences. So it's really interesting for me to actually take the time, take something that I didn't like as much as another bike and make it feel so much better. Like this feature here, I was scared of this last time I was in here. Don't know why. Today, not an issue. Hey. Of course you went and found water, didn't you? Go swim.
Favorite part of mountain biking? Not mountain biking. He loves to swim. Don't you? Doesn't seem like the easy line. No, go ahead. We're going that way. I try and do this line. I get it wrong. I've gotten it wrong to here, so I'm gonna start on the bridge. See if I can not fall in the water and ruin all my camera gear. And yeah, see if I can get up this climb, just like Norton did. All right, bad starting position. Go. All right. Yeah. All right. That's not easy to do unless you have decent gearing and proper tire pressure. There used to be a cool skinny, oh yeah, it's there, but not so much. It's not so much rideable. All right, continue on. No! Stick must have gotten into the derailleur at some point. It just happened. Sagging, and this rear
This bottom pulley doesn't want to move. I guess that sort of makes sense. There's a lot of sticks on the ground from the hurricane, which Norton really likes, but not good for these. Broken derailleurs, they tend to happen at the top of rides when you're as far away from the trailhead as possible. Alright, got it sort of beat into submission now, so we'll just do our best to get out of here and hope the derailleur stays on the bike. Bike mechanic work on the trail, done. Whoa! There's a tree down. That slows things down a little bit. Go over that tree, Norton. You're gonna go over under. Nice. Look at that. Alright, we've limped up this far. Just the fast ribbon of love section, which hopefully doesn't have a bunch of fallen hurricane sticks and trees down on it. And we're out of here. And then I gotta get on the horn and get a new derailleur hanger as soon as I can. There's another tree down. Holy moly. Don't break on me now, derailleur hanger. Dog. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you tire out a border collie.